Guys, I'm Sam Van Bank and I'm with the 341st MSFS. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit about hiking in the area. I'll give you an easy hike, a medium hike, and a hard hike, as well as a backpacking hike. And then I'll go over some bear safety tips and just some items that you should have with you every time that you hike, just some essentials, things that I bring with me that help kind of make me feel safer when I'm hiking. And the reason why I am talking to you guys is because I am an adventure aficionado. I absolutely love going on adventures. I have backpacked everywhere that I can backpack. And so because of that, because I have this passion, I love to be able to pass that on to people and make sure that they enjoy the area as much as I enjoy the area. I am certified in wilderness medicine from the National Outdoor Leadership School, so I can speak to that. I also have taken countless navigation and orienteering classes because it is a passion of mine. I love going out. I love exploring new areas, and I really like doing it alone. So me and my dog do trips all the time. We actually just got back from a 41-mile trip out in the Bob Marshall, just me and my dog. So I learned quite a bit on that trip, but I had to learn how to do it safely and mitigate the risks that are associated with backpacking or doing backcountry trips by yourself, and even just day hiking, especially if you are bringing other people. It's important to be safe. And now to go over the easy hike, I was thinking about Willow Creek Falls Trailhead, and that is west of here, about 2 hours. There are quite a few easy trails in this area, to include the sluice boxes, but I tried to give you guys a hike that was more removed from base. You won't come across many people on Willow Creek Trailhead, which makes it really, really appealing. So it's, like I said, about 2 hours away from here, due west. It's right east of the Bob Marshall Wilderness, so you do get a view of just the vast wilderness out in that area. So it's absolutely stunning. The trip itself is only about 1.5 miles, which makes it pretty manageable. There are 3 or 4 uphill areas. I would consider them moderate. I think that most people would be able to go up those moderate hills. Like I said, there are only 3 or 4 of them. And with it being 1.5 miles one way, 3 miles total, really it's a solid trip if you have family members that you want to bring, but you still have a beautiful view of a canyon on your left hand side. There is a little bit of exposure, so you are not in the trees the entire time. There's a large meadow. You get to see some waterfalls, and at the end it tops out right with 2 waterfalls on your left hand side. So it is a pretty warm hike this time of year, and so really when you get to the top, a swim is very much so warranted. So that is the easy hike. Again, Willow Creek Falls Trailhead, and I will include the link to that at the bottom. So I did want to add on actually to the easy hike. I think it's really important to annotate that you do need a high clearance vehicle to be able to get back to that trailhead. I would not take a smaller car. I would go extremely slow. The trailhead itself is a little rocky, so just be aware of that. But to move forward onto the medium hike, I'd like to showcase 2 hikes for the area. One is Our Lake and one is Ear Mountain. They are in the same region. They are due west of here, again about 2 hours away. And if you were to Google them, obviously you'd be able to see the beauty that they both show as well. So for Our Lake, it's about 3.5 miles one way. You can head up to the lake. It's pretty steep. That's why I'd like to say that it's a moderate hike or a medium hike. And it's pretty uphill the entire way. There are some areas where it does flatten out, but you do go through beautiful trees. When you do come up to the top, it just opens up. It's called a cirque of mountains, and so it's the center of the mountains, and it looks like it's a glaciated lake. And so all around you, you can see nice high peaks, and you can actually hike around to the backside where there are trees and a really lush grass, and you can camp back there too. So the water is delicious as long as you have a filter, and it's great for swimming too. It is a little cold because it is a glacial lake, but definitely worth the 3.5 miles up. Again, not a lot of people go there, so it is a hike that you can go to and still feel secluded, and it's remote enough for you to feel like you're actually getting away. And then that second hike for Ear Mountain, I have not camped in that area, but I have hiked up to Ear Mountain. It is on your left hand side, and you'll know what I'm talking about when you look at the map or the GPS. It's on your left hand side, like you're almost heading to Our Lake, but that hike is about 3.8 miles one way. It is more exposed. There is a meadow. It's more significant climbing. If I had to rate, I would say Our Lake is less strenuous than Ear Mountain. That is pretty much uphill, but you come up and around a pretty large mountain, and then you can see the Bob Marshall. It's absolutely stunning. There is not a lot of water on that trail, so just beware of that, but it ends you in this beautiful meadow where you just have a view of stunning mountain peaks. So really it's very, very worth it. You get to see a lot of wildflowers as well. So if flowers are your thing, or photography, it's really worth it heading up to that region. So that's all that I have for the medium hikes. Next we'll discuss the hard hikes. And for the hard hike, I would like to showcase Headquarters Pass. So that is about a 3.8 to 4 mile hike. Most of it is uphill. I would say that this hike it's not extremely hard. It's just a lengthier hike, but it is uphill. When you get to the top, it is unreal. It just completely opens up. Again, you're in a cirque of mountains, so there are a bunch of mountains that are around you, but they're just below you, so you can look down into this beautiful valley. In the valley there are camping areas, and so if you chose to go up and over the pass down into that valley, you could actually camp. There is a little creek that runs down there too. I think what makes this hike so unique and so beautiful is that you can actually see the Chinese Wall from the top of this pass. So when you look out and you see just the burn area, there was a fire a couple years ago out in that area, so you could see the burn area. You can see Outlook Mountain, you can see Rocky Mountain is to your right hand side, and then you get to see that beautiful, beautiful Chinese Wall, which is really just the gem of the Bob Marshall Wilderness. So I think if you do want to take part in something that is part of Montana's pride, then I would definitely head up there and see, because that Chinese Wall is just unreal. And so that kind of segues into my backpacking trip that I have. And so the backpacking trip that I chose is actually the Chinese Wall. And so that trip itself is about 40 miles-ish if you want to just head straight out to the wall and then back. If you wanted to add a little bit of time walking alongside the wall, you could. There's actually there are several routes back there that you could do. You can do a square. There's this little circle path that you can do, and I mean, really, you can just add the mileage as you please. But you have to do so safely, and you have to make sure that the trails that are out there are actually cleared, that they've been traveled. Please be good with a compass. There are areas there that are easy to get lost. So I don't want to say that this is an easy backpacking trip at all. My pack that I took out there this last time was about 58-ish pounds when I came back. So it's a pretty hefty hike. Water is scarce at points along the path, so it's important to be prepared. So if that is something that you are interested in, I can talk to you offline about how to route plan, essentially, how to plan for the trip, how to make sure that you have all the appropriate things to make sure that you are properly prepared. And so that trip is probably one of the most amazing trips that I have taken, as well as one of the longest by myself. So that wraps it up for the hiking. So I have shown you the easy hike, the medium hike, the hard hike, and then that backpacking trip out to the Chinese Wall. So, and one thing I think to note, the Chinese Wall trip as well as Headquarters Pass, both of those can leave from the same trailhead, and so that's South Fork River Trailhead. And again, I can put that link for all of those hikes down below, and that way you can see where you can go for those areas. Also Google. I mean, really, that's the best thing to do, is if you have questions about what these look like, if you can get there, please Google. All Trails is a wonderful, wonderful resource to use when you put in where you want to go in All Trails, or you can just search this area too, and All Trails will show you what they have available. But if you go ahead and put these specific trails in, they will give you the GPS coordinates to be able to head back there, or you just press "Take me there," and I mean, it'll pop up on Google for you, Google Maps. So again, that wraps it up, and we will move on now to bear safety tips. So I actually grew up camping and hiking, and we were always very aware whenever we went camping and hiking. Every time that I've done backpacking trips, I have come into bear. I have come into animals. I mean, it's a pretty common thing. So it's really important to be safe whenever you come across animals. This latest trip was actually probably the most adventurous encounter that I've ever had. I encountered a grizzly. He was way closer than I was comfortable with, and so you know, it kind of really made me analyze and think about what I bring out and how to be the most safe whenever you encounter those animals. So first and foremost, I'm going to start off with the marine sport horn. So you can buy a specific bear horn. Actually, Bighorn downtown here, Bighorn Outdoor Supply, they have bear horns, but you can buy this at Walmart for like $5. The marine blowhorn is great if the bear is far enough away where you can blow this horn and you just scare the crap out of it and it'll go running off. Big noises are very effective in staving off really any wildlife. There are times where if I do get creeped out, sometimes I'll play music. If I see a lot of tracks in the area, I'll turn the music on. I will talk, which is probably silly sounding for people around me, but I just want to be safe. So again, this marine sport blowhorn, I bought it at Walmart for $5. A great tool to use, obviously non-lethal force, if you do want to keep I guess wildlife in the area notified that you're there, and of course if you come across a bear, to be able to blow so that he knows to stay away or she knows to stay away. So that's first and foremost. So second is bear spray. So this is a bear spray that's in a harness, and then this is what the bear spray looks like out of the harness. I always have bear spray with me. The pro to bear spray is obviously it deters the bear. So you're not gonna spray bear spray in the bear's eyes. That's not how bear spray works. What bear spray is there to do is to give pause to that animal that's coming at you. So if the bear decides to come at you, you want to be able to take the bear spray, start low, and work your way up to create a cloud in between you and the bear. So that charging bear, when they come through that cloud, that's how they get accosted, essentially, by the bear spray. So never think of it as you just, oh, I'm going to spray this directly in your eyes. That's not how it's going to operate. By the time that bear is close enough for you to spray it in the eyes, you're going to have issues. So do keep that in mind. But the issue with bear spray is if there is wind, it renders it ineffective. So I bring bear spray always, obviously, but if you have issues and it is extremely windy, which you better hope it's not, you have to have an alternative. And for me, that alternative is pepper gel. So you can buy bear gel, they have that online too. Again, I like to go for the cheaper option, however, make sure that it still works. In any cases for any of these, I have deployed all of them. I know how they work. I know what they sound like. I know what they look like. I know how they operate, because it's important to know how it operates before you get out there and encounter a wild animal. Anyway, so for the pepper gel, this is a lot more solidified than just the spray. So if there is wind, you are able to spray this for a more direct contact where you want it to go. Keep in mind though, it doesn't create that cloud in between you and the bear. So this is you close contact spraying a gel into where you want to spray it to for the bear. They say the nose is a great place. Obviously the eyes are a great place. The mouth is a great place. It's pretty close contact for you to be able to get this there. But they do say that, you know, it has a pretty effective 20 feet radius in order for you to be able to get to the bear. So 20 feet is still too close, but hey, I mean, if it's a last option, then that's what you're gonna have to use. I had a friend whose father was attacked by a grizzly bear. And so one of the things that he now uses and was recommended to him was a solar flare. So animals are inherently afraid of fire. You know, I don't know if I would just necessarily go running off deploying solar flares all the time, but if a bear were to be close enough and were to be approaching me or not be scared of me if I made noise, then I would probably open up this solar flare and just kind of wave it around. If that doesn't scare the bear off, then you need to be ready for some more intensive tools in your toolkit. So this is always just an option. Again, you know, you don't have to use all of these. I have not used a solar flare against a bear. I do carry one. I think it's better to be safe than sorry, and so I do bring the solar flare as well, as a just in case, especially because I thought it was interesting that he has that as one of his tools. He is actually the individual that recommended the horn as well. So I do want to address some things that I have heard whenever I have been backpacking. One of the things that I hear is, well, if you have a gun, shoot a gun in the air. Great, because it's a loud noise, just like the horn. The hesitation that I have with that is I have friends who are wildlife biologists, and they were actually discussing how in Wyoming and in Montana, bears hear that gun and they're actually now associating it with hunters and carcasses. And so those bears are actually navigating toward the sound of that gunshot because they think at the end of that gunshot there's going to be some sort of meal for them, or bloodshed, so to speak. Obviously it doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen with every bear, so please don't think that. But it's just something that I have taken note of. I carry a 9mm with me every time that I go out too, so I'm pretty well stacked whenever I go out. So these are just kind of the safety things that I have with me. I think it's also important to note when you come across a bear, if the bear isn't doing anything and the bear isn't coming at you and it sees you and it's acknowledged you, please don't just start deploying all of these devices. It's okay for you to say to the bear, let them know that you're human. Chances are they are going to be afraid of you. In this last encounter, the bear was probably about 20 to 25 feet away-ish. And so I had the dog on my hip, and then I had my walking sticks. And I put my walking sticks in the air, and it was on its two hind legs, and I just kind of waved my walking sticks, and I said, I'm a human. Never walk backwards like you're retreating. Never run. Walk sideways. It's a non-threatening movement. You can walk sideways, but backwards. And then the bear perceives that as non-threatening. So I walked backwards, the bear dropped down on all fours, continued to sniff, didn't approach me, rooted around the area, and turned and walked away. It was a non-issue. I didn't have to deploy anything, I didn't have to shoot anything, I just let the bear know I'm a human, and he went along his way. Still scared me, but he went and did his own thing. I was in Jackson Hole the one time, and we were hiking, and on my right-hand side, there was a bear that was sitting right off the trail on his butt, just eating berries. Obviously, he saw people walking by and didn't do anything. So I got within 3 feet of this bear just walking on the trail, and he didn't care at all. Would I have deployed any of these and made any noises? Absolutely not. If I see a bear run across the trail up ahead, I'm gonna say, hey bear, I'm a human. I let the bear know that I'm there. It's just important that the bear knows that you are there, especially if you are alone, so that way you don't surprise the bear. And I think that if you are in an area where bear are, make noise. Really truly make noise. I've heard people pros and cons against bear bells. I have bear bells. I put a bear bell on my dog. I've heard that they're dinner bells. So I mean, everybody has their own opinions, everybody has different options, everybody has their own things that they like to bring with them. These are just some options that I bring along with me. It doesn't necessarily mean they're right or wrong, but I think the more you know, the safer that you are, and a more educated decision you can make. So now I do briefly want to touch on things that I always bring with me no matter what. So it's very, very important, obviously, to know where you are. So I always carry a topographic map with me of the region that I'm going to. I always review in some sort of hiking book, online, like I talked about before. You can go to hiking apps. Really, anything that you want to go to be able to research and get as much information as possible. It's very, very important. I don't bring these books with me, but I do review them before I go. But what I do bring with me every time, like I said, is a topographic map. I always have a compass, so you'll drop some money on a good compass. I have a Sunto. I absolutely love it. It's about $100, but it will save your life if you get into some hairy business and you all of a sudden don't know where you are. And again, these maps here, you can find them pretty much anywhere. You can order them online. This is actually a local company that makes this, Cairn Cartographics, and this is in Missoula, Montana. A lot of these smaller map companies, sometimes I'm a little hesitant about. National Geographic makes maps. I have hundreds of maps. If I am going to an area, I am buying a map for that area, and I am looking at where I'm going, I'm routing, I'm looking at the terrain, always wanting to know what I'm stepping into before I step into it. I don't want to be surprised out there that I have a hill and I gain 2,000 feet in less than a mile. I don't want to find that out when I'm out on that hill. So again, very important, make sure that you always have maps of the area. I specifically just grabbed these because I just used these most recently, but you can see, I mean, I really tear them apart. And along with that, I always make sure that I have some sort of planning tool. So for me, I can't memorize everything. When you get into the business of routing a trip, make sure that you have it written down somewhere, your plans on where you're trying to go. I always provide, even if I'm going on a day hike, I always provide some sort of road map or road plan to somebody that I know. That way they know that I'm going back to that area. A 3.8 mile hike, hey, I'm going out to this point and I'm coming back. Cool. I don't care who you tell, make sure that you always tell somebody. This last trip, I actually did all of my days up through day 6, laminated it, and I told everyone. Everyone knew that that's where I was going. And then I laminated it for me so that I could bring it along, and I knew the mileage that I would have that day, where I was going, and from what trail to what trail. A lot of it in this area in Montana is actually point-to-point navigation. So it's pretty important that you know where you're going. So slide these out of the way. I always bring an expo marker. If you do for any point have to shoot an azimuth or really need to write something down, where you're going, directions, anything, it's important to have an expo marker. Wipes right off, you can write it right on your map. If you have any issues, sometimes it's great to just write it down. And then last but not least, the InReach Mini. So this does require, it's by Garmin, it does require a subscription and a membership, but you can go in and see where you are on the map. You can have others find out where you are. I can send messages, SOS messages to individuals around me. I have the search and rescue expedition version on this because I go out so often. If I need to press the SOS button because I've broken my leg, it will send a signal out to the closest SAR, search and rescue area, or team rather, and then they will come out there and come get me. Obviously, you wouldn't deploy this unless there was truly an emergency. I've never ever had to use it, knock on wood, but a great tool to have. I'm not saying you have to have this to go out, but in areas like this where things are so remote, I think it's important that other people know where you are, they can track you, and if you have any issues, you can be rescued. So yeah, that's it for those rescue techniques. And then that just kind of leads into what I usually bring with me whenever I go on a backpacking trip. I'm not going to go over all the essentials, but for me, 2 huge important things: map, navigation, and then a first aid kit. So I always have a first aid kit. Whenever I did the National Outdoor Leadership School course for wilderness first aid, I was really focused on making sure that I had what I needed in case anything were to happen. I'm not going to go through and dissect what I have in my first aid kit. I think everybody has particular needs, but I really, really recommend that you go out and you take some sort of class. Taking a class to be able to find out how you can help yourself in an emergency, how you can help others that you hike with in an emergency is really important. I am a firm believer in everybody should bring a first aid kit. If you are hiking with 5 people and you are on a long backpacking trip, guess who should have a first aid kit? All 5 people. And no, they don't have to be huge, but they can be more tailored to that individual. If that individual gets hurt, you use their first aid kit to help them. And that way you're not sacrificing your health and safety, and you're making sure that they're also taken care of. So I think that's really important to note. And again, if you have any questions about the first aid kit and what I carry, we can talk offline about it. You can send me an email, and we can go over a lot of those different things. But that's an entirely different video. And then just kind of going into what I carry. Again, I think it's important for bear safety. I'm not going to again go through all of this, but I carry a bear can. So this bear can actually was, it was crushed by an animal. I don't really know what it was that crushed it, but it was crushed by an animal on my last trip. This is a bear vault, and so you can find different models. If you just go online and you look up bear cans, UDAP has a bear can as well. That's great, but this is a good storage tool. So I put all of my food in here when I backpack. I don't use it for day hikes, obviously, but I do use it for longer backpacking trips. And I make sure that I put all of my toiletries in there as well, anything that smells good. I once heard somebody who, again, wildlife friend, biologist friend, who said that the bear can smell the chapstick that's in your pocket. Their smell is just 1,000 times that of a dog. And so I think it's after I knew that, it was really important to have proper bear storage. Now, what's interesting about bear cans is they can actually smell everything that's inside. What they can't do is access it. So a fed bear is a dead bear. So if that bear gets to human food, then they have a tendency to want to crave human food. They associate humans with food, which is a dangerous thing, and then they're no longer afraid of us when we're in the backcountry. And so that's the importance of a bear can. They can still smell that food, they just can't get to that food. I need a new bear can because this bear can is compromised, but I just wanted to show you guys what the bear can look like. And then just 3 additional things I think it's just important to note. On every trip for me, no matter where I go, I always have a stove with me. Yeah, it's just my little Jetboil Minimo. Fun fact is if you go to the Jetboil website, they will actually give you, and it's only 1 coupon for the lifetime for one individual, but you get 50% off of your Jetboil order, which is absolutely phenomenal as an active duty military member. So you'll call Jetboil, you'll ask if you can partake in that 50% off, and they will send you that 1 coupon for your lifetime. So I think it's definitely worth investing in. No matter what, I will always have a source of heat if I bring this guy along. So that's why I always do, no matter what. I also have a filter. This isn't, I would say this isn't 100% necessary. If I have this and some iodine pills, because I can boil the water and then use iodine pills. But for me, I love being able to fill this up. This is a catadine, and literally it's phenomenal. I can just fill up this water and then drink it, and I am 100% safe, 99.9% safe. Obviously, there's a very, very small chance that you could trust something, but you could really do that the same way, boiling water and using the iodine pills as well. So I always carry these 2 items. I always carry an extra pair of socks. Rain gear is extremely important. Make sure that you have rain gear. A bivy, so some sort of shelter. A bivy is like it can be a heating blanket that's wrapped up. Some sort of shelter that will keep you safe from the elements and keep you warm. And so those are just some of the things that I bring along, and always make sure that I have. And of course, have fun. You know, I think it's easy to get lost in all of the gear and sometimes forget that you're there just to have fun and see all the beauty, and it's absolutely amazing. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I really appreciate it. And if you guys have any questions or have any issues or gripes or grievances or suggestions, I am 100% open to them. So please contact me. I'll have my email below if you guys have questions about the area. I have only been here a year, but I have explored hundreds of miles worth. I camp almost every weekend, and so if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out.